Let's Talk. We're joined on today's edition by Christopher Ng, Executive Group Division Director at ERA and a landed and commercial portfolio specialist. Christopher, it's a pleasure to connect. Thank you for joining me.
Good afternoon, Daniel. Yep, this is Chris.
Let's talk about this move. This is wholly new. We've never seen anything like this before. The idea that this yellow or red box area could be utilized for a subletting commercial purpose.
No, it has been around. I think it's just that lately the advertisements come on and the news pick it up. In fact, if you look at the markets, it probably evolved from markets like, let's say, Chong Pang Market, Kovan Market. You realize in the morning there's a lot of these little Papa and Mama pop-up stores that sells everything, from medicines to herbs to just maybe even kitchen items. So this has been around, but I guess the proliferation of advertisements onto the platforms like Facebook groups and Carousel, that's when I think it warranted a deeper look at it.
I don't know why, but every time I walk past one of these outdoor spaces where there might be another shop, so the main store on my left could be a clothing store, but then on the outside part there'll be tables and they're selling like nail clippers or handphone SIM cards or something like that. For some reason, every time I saw it in the past, I always assumed it was merely an extension of the main business. I had no idea it was an actual subletting of the space. How does this work? I mean, just explain to us, because when the main shop owner rents their property, doesn't it come with a property line? And does that not demarcate the outdoor area? Or has it always been, gazetted as not part of your property, this particular outdoor space?
Now, these outdoor display areas are always meant to be an extension of the shop itself, and it's typically for the tenant, as you rightfully pointed out, to display goods that's related to their business. And they're not meant to operate as independent stores. And as the CNA has mentioned, they must not obstruct walkways or fire escape routes. But I think over the years, officially, these spaces cannot be sublet. The permit is issued for only the shop operator to use this space for their own business activities. And this subletting usually happens because the informal arrangement between the shop tenant and the third party. And of course, I believe it's really just extra income for the shop owners or rather tenant in this sense, that may not need to use this extra outdoor display spaces.
So the main tenant may be charging a subletting rental fee to this external business. What is the situation now? Now that it's been picked up, has it been formalized in any way? Is it legit? Is it official that you can, in fact, sublet that external space out? Or is it still a gray area?
Now, officially, these spaces really cannot be sublet. So I think in most cases, this shop tenant simply rents out the space to the vendor on a daily or weekly basis. This payment goes directly to the shop tenant, not to HDB or the town council. So it's essentially a private arrangement using space that was originally approved for the shop's own use.
But then when you register
the rentals can range.
Sorry, go ahead. Yes.
The rentals can range anything from $70 to $200, depending on the traffic flow. At the end of the day, these stores are really pop-up stores that use existing traffic. So most of the times we would observe that, as I mentioned earlier, there would be a popular market or a hawker center that is nearby, or the shops that are in that business enclave attracting residents, and usually again is in the morning or the weekends.
Yeah. So it is that amount you mentioned, the 70 to 200. That one is per day.
Per day, yes.
Okay, good. Not per month. I was like, per month cannot be so cheap.
Per month will be too affordable.
So it's a very ad hoc basis. The owner would probably be advertising it, and there could be multiple renters depending on the location. So, anytime you walk through Ang Mo Kio, Toa Payoh, my favorite one is just behind ABC Market near us. And you will see this where, so initially I always thought it was an extension of the shop in the sense that I thought it was the son or the wife go and set up something outside, just to be different.
Maybe in the beginning it started that way.
Maybe it did, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it probably did, yes.
Yeah. And so that's how what I thought it always was. It was just an extension. But now to hear that there may be this kind of subletting situation, when there is the setup of the tables and a separate business entity down there, does it become complicated for two things? One, in terms of safety, because we want to make sure that the walkway and the passageway still has the ability for emergency services to come through, a stretcher, so on and so forth. And also, like, let's face it, when we walk also, suddenly I'm walking sideways to squeeze through also. And the other thing, okay, I'll deal with the other thing next. I don't want to complicate matters, but let's talk about the safety aspect first.
Well, I think the safety aspect is that I think most of these operators tend to keep within the tables and the boxes. But probably, some of the more errant ones or the more daring ones may, if it left unchecked, it can lead to what you have described just now, which is cluttered walkways and uneven enforcement. I think the key here is still about uneven enforcement, whereby some areas may have enforcement while the others are just left unchecked. So I believe that therefore the challenge is really balancing this. But we must agree that having this store sometimes add variety and vibrancy.
It's like having a little mini pasar malam just for a few days.
Correct. And the thing is, I think a lot of, if you have a chance to revisit these spaces now after this conversation, is that you realize that a lot of these stores actually serve what the residents need. And again, we've generally noticed that these stores, right, tend to be in the more mature estates, again, Chong Pang, Yishun, Ang Mo Kio, where there are elderly people that may not have access to, online platforms like we do. And they do get quite a lot of this cute little accessories or I've seen speakers, I've seen nail clippers, I've seen even what's that thing called, bedding products, all being offered. And I think this really adds accessibility to a lot of the some of the markets that may not have such items. So the challenge is really balancing this vibrancy and accessibility with safety and fairness.
My second point is to do with the legality, and I think I'll bring that up at the end of the discussion, but let's bring up some other aspects first, which is, yes, they do add some vibrancy. I've seen some of these stalls having the very lelong experience. They'll have the microphone, they'll be calling people over, they'll be demonstrating the products and things like that, because it's the outdoor space. The cramped feeling does come about sometimes, I think, because it's also trying to be under the awning at the same time. So that's the issue. But my question is, does it detract from the point of view of the original renter of the main shop? Mm-hmm. Could it draw attention away from their shop? Because the walkway, the foot traffic it's going to grab the attention of the person faster and easier.
Definitely. I mean, it can go both ways. Now, if the products compete directly, it could dilute sales. Well, if they complement each other, say a snacks shop outside a drink shop, a table that sells snacks outside a drink shop, it can actually increase the footfall and benefit both parties. But really, I think at the end of the day, the OBA that is being rented out by the tenant or the user of the main shop, right? They probably would have set certain, rules and regulations on who is going to take up. For example, if I am running a fruit store, I probably wouldn't rent to
another fruit store,
part-time fruit store, which probably have a lower rental or just random kind of fruits that I may not sell. Again, it is a very delicate thing. If, let's say, for example, I'm focusing on a certain particular fruit. Let's say I do apples and oranges for prayer sessions, right? And I do also sell some prayer items. Then I may not mind on certain days, a friendly operator come and sell fruits that I don't normally carry. But this is really, I think, just trying to find, an excuse. But I would say that most of the time, the main tenant would have restricted who to rent it to, and it would either be complimentary or probably does not affect their main business.
Final point, it's the legality. of it. Like you said, this is under the radar. There's been unequal enforcement as well. It's happened for so long. Now that we've called attention to it and it's been picked up in this way, is this going to be a problem, you think, for the liveliness and the vibrancy, but also the legality of these stores there? I've got 60 seconds for this quick response.
Okay. So I'm taking a very balanced approach to this. At the end of the day, I believe, as I mentioned earlier, I shared, this market for these spaces are present now, but I believe it's a sunset industry as more and more of our people get online and get their products on, and a lot of these things are easily found online. So the legality of it, I think it will probably still, officially is not allowed, but if there is to be some form of enforcement, I think a balanced approach would be clearer guidelines or even formalized micro retail permits. This will allow these small entrepreneurs to participate while ensuring walkways remain safe and the system remains fair for the full shop tenants. At the end of the day, I think Singapore, sometimes we have been known as too organized, too inorganic. Such stores actually do add vibrancy, and I see the value that they bring to the residents and the marketplace. So I would perhaps call for not a removal of it, but a clearer guidelines on how to use it. And at the end of the day, my summary view is that the demand for these spaces tells us that the heartlands are still economically active. And the question now is whether the system can evolve to accommodate this demand in a safe and regulated way.
I think initially it was a test bed for entrepreneurs to see whether they had what it took to sell their product that they've managed to ship over. Think about it. I love your suggestion of the micro tenancy agreement, short-term one. Why not fold in an entrepreneurship scheme where you get people to set up their startups, the very basic form of it there as well. This could be an opportunity. This is such a fascinating discussion. Thank you, Christopher, for spending time with my listener. Christopher Ng, Executive Group Division Director at ERA and a landed and commercial portfolio specialist. This has been a Singapore Today Top Story.